providing those movies. I just got out of Scream 6 and, well, did I scream? No, but I did have a lot of fun, so let's get into it. Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega are back as Sam and Tara Carpenter. This is following the events of Scream 5, and Tara is now in college in New York. Sam is kind of hanging around with them in New York, trying to basically keep an eye on them, but what's there to be scared of? They're completely on the opposite side of the country from Woodsboro. Everything should be good. But of course it's not. We have another Ghostface Killer. They're targeting this family again. And this time, the Ghostface Killer has all of New York to spread his mayhem and torture and fear all over the streets. So the Scream franchise has already established itself to be one of the best slasher franchises of all time. It's known for being meta and fun. It's known for its humor. It's known for its jump scares and a frenetic villain. It's known for being serious and not serious at the same time. And the characters and the way that these characters weave together is really what makes these movies. Scream 6 is no different. Scream is also known for paying homage to other slasher films and talking really directly to the audience about the tropes of these films and the rules that are established and how these movies have to abide by those rules. This is no different. This time, we're not going by new movie rules. We're not going by sequels. We're not going by requels. This time, we're going by franchise rules. And Mindy introduces these rules to great comedic effect. She talks about how in franchises, everything's have to be bigger. Legacy characters can be killers. Legacy characters can get killed off pretty easily. And even the main characters are not safe from the killers. It also talks about how you have to subvert expectations, and what you think is going to happen probably is going to be the opposite. They play with those themes throughout the movie. I'm glad that they continue that legacy of establishing these rules and really celebrating how fun these slasher horror films are supposed to be. We have another Ghostface Killer, and one of the things about Ghostface is that they separate themselves from Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees or some of the other slasher horror legends that we know, because there's nothing supernatural about these killers. They're just really crazy people in masks that want to live out this twisted fantasy that they have. So the Ghostface Killer doesn't have those superhuman, supernatural strength, but they do have this craziness about them, and they're immediately stabbing you. If they get on you, they're trying to slice and dice you as much as possible. It's very violent, and it's very much how you would feel like you would get stabbed in real life, as opposed to Michael Myers coming and just hitting you a couple of times very slowly. These people are like really punching you. Ghostface is really going to punch you with that knife if he catches you. So it brings a different type of horror, a different type of danger to these films. I think that Scream 6 does this very well. In fact, every scene with Ghostface Killer is done very well. The convenience store scene, the scene that's in the apartment where they're climbing through the window trying to get away from Ghostface, the scene at Gail Weathers' place, who's played by Courtney Cox, all of these are really, really good. I was so satisfied after each of these thrilling chase sequences with Ghostface Killer. Because the other intermediate scenes were so good, the ending kind of let me down. It was a little bit of a letdown compared to what we had seen to that point. The end is still satisfying, but I could have done with just a little bit more. So let's talk about some of these performances. I think Melissa Barrera as Sam and Jenna Ortega as Tara are strong once again in this film. Sam's is getting a little stunted by her story. Of course, she has her father, Billy Loomis, who is a part of her psyche and still kind of torturing her a bit. Tara did have some elevation in her character. She's trying to basically live her life. She doesn't want to be a victim anymore. She just wants to have a normal college life where she's hooking up with guys and going to parties and living her life, but that's not the life she has anymore because she's always on the mind of these new copycat Ghostface killers, right? So that's where her story development comes from. I don't think that Sam got the same type of story development, which makes me think that with these characters, they're probably trying to do a trilogy with them. And what is going to be the exclamation point on this character arc? Because we didn't really get much for Sam, who's the main character of this franchise now. We didn't really get much development from her. I think that Jasmin Savoy Brown as Mindy is stealing all the scenes just like she did in the first film in terms of being our narrator and our commentator about the way these films are supposed to work, her giving out the franchise rules, her picking out who is probably the Ghostface Killer and who is not. And then also Mason Gooding as Chad is a much more likable character in this film than he was in the first one. The first film, he was pretty annoying. They've given him some development to where he has like this budding interest / romance with Tara. He's not as egotistical as he was in the first film. He's just a likable guy now compared to what he was in the first film. So I liked all of the main character performances. One performance that didn't really sit well with me was Hayden Panettiere's performance as Kirby. She's now this FBI agent and she's supposed to be like super tough and all these different types of things. It didn't really resonate with me because she's hamming it up so much. I think that they're trying to make her the new version of David Arquette's character. It seemed like she was given the direction to act like this because we've seen her in other, specifically in TV, be able to give much more powerful performances compared to this. So I just don't know what she's doing here. It's very strange. It's like she's in a whole different movie to me. Of course, we get Courtney Cox back as Gail Weathers. She's still trying to get the next story. She's still trying to write the next book. She has some good showings in this as well, especially that whole apartment scene and the way that she has to go against Ghostface Killer. It's very similar in the way that we felt like Dewey was going against Ghostface Killer at different points in Scream 5. Love her in this film as well. There's some things that I feel like the film doesn't do in terms of other Scream films that I did not enjoy. I feel like that they didn't completely commit to the storyline. Like it seemed like they were pulling things back because they want this to be continue to be this big franchise. Because of that, there's parts of the story that just don't really make sense. There's outcomes that happen throughout the film that's like, well, that probably wouldn't happen that way if this was still like in Scream 2, Scream 3 territory, right? So they don't fully commit to certain parts of this film. That's something you would want from a franchise like this, from a Scream film, is that they have to commit to those points. They don't do it. I also believe that there's a very glaring clue of who the Ghostface Killer actually is in the middle of the film. And it's like, right in your face. I don't know if that was the goal of the film to be so obvious with it. Maybe Scream was getting too sparred for me now. Something else I didn't like is that there's always like social commentary and in horror and slasher horror especially, even if it's as simple as don't do drugs or underage sex or sex outside of marriage to get you killed. You know, that type of stuff. There's always like some morality thing there. I'm not gonna give away what the social commentary is in this film, but I will say that they basically just say it outright in the film, and I don't like when you do that. They could have did that a much smarter way than what they did in the end of this film. But even with that, I'm going to say that this is a very enjoyable film. I love horror films, especially opening night. Horror films still attract large audiences. There were people that were in Scream shirts and horror movie shirts at my premiere, and it's just great seeing these movies with a pretty nice sized audience. I'm glad horror movies are still putting butts in seats. Before I get into the rating, I just want to say, please remember that if you are enjoying this content, just hit that subscribe button. That's all I need. Hit the subscribe button. You can hit the like button if you want, but I really want you to get subscribed so that you get the notifications when new videos come out and I can give you more content. But anyway, what's my rating? See it, stream it, or skip it. I am giving Scream 6 a see it. I think it's a fun film. I think that it's a fun date night film. I think it's a fun film to go out with a bunch of friends at night. It gets you the slashes. It's not too scary. It gives you enough to get your heart pumping a little bit and you have a good time, you know, but hey, what do I know? I'm just a guy who loves movies. So if you're going to go see Scream 6, come let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. I am going to have a live reaction to the Oscars immediately after the Oscars go off on Sunday. So come back to @BrianKnowsMovies here at YouTube and you'll be able to get my instant reactions about the winners. Thanks so much for continuing to support me. I'll see you at the theaters next week.